Giuliani, America's mayor, was on Meet the Press this weekend with Michael Eric Dyson.
Michael Eric Dyson, that's right.
And Giuliani is laying out what the problem is. There's not a problem, even though, I don't know when this was. This is the past weekend. I guess it was about a month or so ago. 5 unarmed young black men, in the 20s, shot, killed by police across the country. 5 in 1 month. Just to set the context. And Mayor Giuliani is arguing there's no problem with this. These are just exceptions. Now, I want you to contemplate as you listen to this. And I'll address some of the things that Giuliani says in it. But just contemplate that for every shooting, killing, let me rephrase that. For every killing of an unarmed black male, how much abuse do you think the average black person takes from police in just their daily life? That is literally the tip of the iceberg, built upon an iceberg of harassment, suspicion. You're driving a nice car, you're black, got to pull you over. The idea, at least in my mind, is as horrific as these killings of unarmed black men is. The real, if it was just that, if it was just the cops make a mistake, a dozen, 2 dozen times a year, but the rest of the time, African American communities are treated just like white communities and white people. If it was that. But the killings are on one end of a spectrum, and everything that happens along that spectrum is something that white people, simply by their nature of being white, are not subjected to. That is the real problem. That is the deeper problem amongst society. And there is a tendency to focus on these killings as if that was the end-all, be-all of the problem. But in fact, that is really more an indication of just how big the problem is and widespread. So here's Giuliani on Meet the Press. First voice you'll hear will be Chuck Todd.
Proportionality of white police forces basically not looking like the communities that they serve. I highlighted 6 here of the most dramatic. This was a Washington Post analysis of census data where basically the proportion of white police officers was much higher than the proportion of the white population. Miami Gardens, Florida, right outside the city of Miami. You see there, El Paso, Texas, Compton, Gary, Indiana, Newark, Detroit. I mean, all of those places could become future Fergusons. How do you make a police force that looks like the community they serve?
Well, I mean, starting with Mayor Koch, Mayor Dinkins, myself, Mayor Bloomberg, and now Mayor de Blasio, we've tried very hard to make the police force in New York City as proportionate as we possibly can. We go out of our way to do that. I think we do a pretty good job, not a perfect job. But the reality is...
You're not on this list, so that's a good thing.
Right. I was glad to see that we weren't, by the way. But the fact is, I find it very disappointing that you're not discussing the fact that 93% of blacks in America are killed by other blacks. We're talking about the exception here.
Well, look.
Let me just bring up another statistic. 86% of all whites are killed by whites. 86% of all whites are killed by whites. So is Giuliani really saying, like, I am surprised you're not talking about the slight discrepancy in the statistics of black on black crime versus white on white crime? I'm really surprised by that. No, that's not what he's saying.
Look, first of all, go ahead, Michael. No, but this is about a trust issue.
We are talking about a significant exception, 93% of blacks are killed by
Let me-
other
let me tell you-
blacks.
let me respond to that.
I would like to see
Finish the
the
sentence, I'll let you
attention.
respond.
I'd like to see the attention paid to that you are paying to this, and the solutions to that.
He's taking up time. Can I say this first?
Now, wait a second. So Giuliani is saying you should really be focusing on the other 93 out of 100 deaths that take place as black on black crime, ignoring the fact that the statistics are, 86%, I guess, for whites, so that's a little bit less. We don't have statistics on how many people are killed, unarmed people are killed by the cops in this country. And we don't have the statistics of white cops shooting black people. But do you have any doubt that the rate of white cops shooting black people is far higher than it is of white cops shooting white people?
First of all, most black people who commit crimes against other black people go to jail. Number two, they are not sworn by the police department as a agent of the state to uphold the law. So in both cases, that's a false equivalency that the mayor has drawn, which has exacerbated
It's hardly a
tensions
false
that are
equivalency.
deeply embedded in American
It's the
culture.
reason-
Black
it's the
people who
reason-
kill
Mr.
black
Mayor,
people
let
go
me
to
let
jail.
Mr.
Black
Jackson
people who
finish.
kill black people go to jail. White
it is
people who are
hardly-
policemen who kill black people do not go to jail. And
It's
if
hardly-
a jury can indict a ham
it's
sandwich, why is
hardly
it taking so long?
insignificant.
Mr. Mayor,
It's
let me
the
ask you,
reason-
it's the trust
it's
issue, though.
hardly-
This is a
it's
trust
hardly-
issue.
It's hardly insignificant.
I
It's
didn't say
the
it was
reason-
insignificant. I said it was out of
is the
proportion in your
reason-
false
It is the
equivalency, sir.
reason. It is the reason for the heavy police presence in the black community.
Not at all.
93
Not at all.
93%.
The police presence cannot
because
make a
of the high
distinction between
level of
those who are
crime.
criminals and those who call the police
Let me
to
see
stop
you
the
spend-
criminals.
All right, let
What
me-
about the poor
let me
black
let
child
the
that is
mayor-
killed by another black child? Why aren't you
Those people
protesting
go
that?
to jail. I do protest it. I'm a minister. They go to jail. Why don't you talk about the way in which white
Well, why don't you
policemen
cut
have
it down?
undercut the
So-
ability of
so
Americans
why
to
don't you
live?
cut it down so many white police officers don't have to be in black areas? I
They
put
don't
white
have to be.
police
It's a
officers-
matter of the effect
How
of the
about
state
70
occupying those forces, sir.
How about 70 to 75% of the crime in my city
How about your
takes
attitude
place
reinforces
in black
the
cities?
problematic
right, I think
perspective
this is a
that
debate.
prevails in the culture, sir?
This
How
is a
about
debate.
you reduce crime?
This is a debate.
When I become
Then
mayor,
you
I'll
won't
do
have
that.
the white.
Wait,
the
let's
white
not make
police
this-
officers won't be there if you weren't killing each
Look
other.
at this.
Hang on.
This is the
70
defensive
to
mechanism of white
75% of the
supremacy
time.
at work in your
Wait,
mind,
all
sir.
right, Mike.
The white police officers wouldn't be there if you weren't killing each other 70% of the time. I don't know what Michael Eric Dyson's criminal record, but I'm pretty sure that he's not over there killing people.
I think it's just amazing because, I mean, it's no news that Mayor Giuliani was really racially inflammatory in terms of how he ran New York City. I mean, what was it? One of his classic moves was he released, I think it was the juvenile record of a guy who was shot by the NYPD.
Yeah.
The guy, similar case, he was, I don't remember the specifics. I don't remember whether it was Amadou Diallo or somebody else, and maybe it was like he was taking his wallet out. It might have been that case or something similar. And he released the guy's juvenile record and said he was no choir or altar
Right,
boy,
exactly.
which is ironic, actually, given the way that came up again a couple of months ago.
Right.
But it's just funny because, I don't think he has ever quite laid it out as directly himself. Like, that encapsulates everything everybody said about
Right.
his attitude.
Just in
towards
case you
these
didn't
things.
realize.
Yeah, just in case you didn't get it.
The
It's
first
your
time.
fault. Black people are violent, and that's why cops do whatever it is they're going to do, period. That's it.